Hello, can you hear me? Okay, cool. Please bear with me. I'm still learning how to be a speaker, really going through this experience. 2024 marks 20 years since I went inside of prison and, destroyed my life, but also started to rebuild my life. So I'm still getting used to this. I mean, first of all, I'm just so amazed at how many people, look at how many people are in the room around reentry and second chances. Could we please give yourselves a round of applause for that? This is amazing. It really is. I see some of my brothers in the room, and we were just talking for a second. I gotta shout them out. The Horton brothers, I mean, we go way back, way back, man. It's beautiful to see y'all here. I see my guy Kurt. I know Eric was walking around here somewhere, Jeff Abramowitz. So just wanted to shout out some of my brothers in arms that went through this crazy journey of incarceration. One more thing I want to do is I got to give Robert Reed a shout out for putting this together and everybody behind, all the folks that did all of this. Please celebrate them as well. As Rob said, my name is Shuja Moore. It's a mouthful, don't worry about it. Feel free to call me Shu. And I am from West Philly, born and raised, did play in the playground. And I feel really proud, to be the filmmaker. I have some pictures just to show you I ain't lying. I'm a filmmaker. Some the community advocacy that we do, and I'm really proud of that, and happy to stand in front of you to represent that. Because for another family and for many others, I'll never be nothing more than a murderer. And so when I tell you that I stand up here as well, although I do have pride while I'm up here, I also stand with a ton of embarrassment and shame and disappointment as well. What can you really say to murder? Somebody lost their life, a family was destroyed, and I'm the one who caused that. My family didn't deserve that, their family didn't deserve that, our society didn't deserve that, and how do you even pick up your life after that? I was 22 years old. It was an accident, but nevertheless, a 24-year-old lost their life, and it was his mother's only child. And I remember being sentenced, and the judge said, I see the potential that you had, and instead of sentencing me to the maximum of 24 years, she sentenced me to 12 to 24 years and sent me upstate. And by that time I had 2 years in, so I was 24 years old, and going upstate with 10 years, I mean, I cried like a baby. It was like, oh, the rest of my life is over. And I remember getting upstate, and I just laid in the bunk, I was depressed, and I didn't do anything for months and months and months and months on end. Until finally my cellie, he jumped off the bunk one day and he said, man, get up, what are you doing? Do something with your time. Y'all might have heard some of these cliches like, treat jail like Yale, don't let the time do you, do the time. Well, he was hitting me with all of that. And I was like, man, get out of here, I ain't trying to hear none of that, right? But he did, he motivated me. He gave me that big brother motivation and said, do the time. Don't let the time do you. And I remember going through this trial experience, and I didn't know what happened. I felt like a whirlwind just hit me. One day I just went to a club. Yeah, I thought I was a gangster. I was a young punk, but I didn't want to kill anybody. I wanted to sell a little weed on the side, make a couple dollars, because I felt like I didn't have power, I didn't have money, I didn't have anything growing up. And that's all I wanted. I thought I could do that by selling weed. Stupid, right? But anyway, went to the club, get into a dumb fight, arguing with a guy. Looks like they're trying to rush me. I pull the gun out to really back him up, but he grabs it. Now we're wrestling in the middle of this club. Bouncers come in, they throw us around, a shot goes off, the bullet goes through the bouncer's thighs and pierces the abdomen of the friend. He dies the next day in a hospital. So now I'm upstate, went through trial, sentenced. I'm trying to figure out what just happened to my life. And I keep hearing his name, this guy named Sweets. He's supposed to be the legal beagle in the jail. He was what they call a jailhouse lawyer. And he was interested in teaching and taking on mentees, but you had to learn it his way. Lee, y'all remember Sweets? If anybody knows Sweets, we saw this man, you might think he was homeless, he had all his teeth missing, he smelled, all he drank was coffee, and he was one of the meanest individuals I ever met in jail. I ain't lying, am I lying? But I was determined to learn, so much so that I moved in the cell with him. I'm not happy I got another story for you. Those that paid me the best light. But I remember one day we were studying in his cell. This guy used to work on people's cases, and he'd give me books to read, tell me things to write, keep the TV blasted, he'll fart, he'll do anything he wanted to do. And I just had to deal with it. And people thought I was crazy for dealing with it. Like, well, I'm not, this guy's crazy. But I knew, you find yourself in jail at that young age for murder, something's wrong, right? You need to educate yourself. And unfortunately, there was no program in the Department of Corrections that was going to teach me how to be the man I needed to be once I got on the outside. The only other people who could do that were fellow prisoners, people like Sweets. And so one day we were studying, and I probably was giving him a crazy attitude, because that's all I really could do, was just give him attitude. And he said, man, clean up the cell. I'm like, clean up the cell? He said, matter of fact, start with the toilet. I'm like, matter of fact, yeah, let me clean the toilet. So I go get gloves and all this stuff. Like, no gloves, nothing. Go ahead, clean with your bare hands. I'm like, my bare hands? Crazy, I'm not doing this. Poop stain, I'm not doing it. He said, man, you in here because you fucked up. And you need to rewrite your story. And you gotta put in the work to do that. How do you want your story? Was it easy? You want your story to just be easy, or do you want to put in the work that it takes to really be successful out here? Go ahead and wash that toilet with your bare hands. And I had a choice to make. Was I gonna do that, or was I gonna get the hell out of there? Well, I rolled up my sleeves, and I washed the toilet with my bare hands. I felt crazy doing it. Don't worry, y'all, this was years ago. Check a couple of my hands. I don't have any poop in my hands anymore. But I did wipe that toilet. Shortly after that, got the heck out of Sweet Cell, but I continued on with my studies. And the reason why I was able to do that and study and take this in, because a lot of people, they're not able to take tutelage, especially when you're young. You feel like the system just hits you. It's hard to be accountable because all your life you've been hurt. That's what even got you in prison. You hurt somebody because you was getting hurt. And it's hard to be introspective unless you got that love. You got that love and support. That no matter what you're going through, you got mom, you got dad, you got brothers, you got aunts, you got uncles that's going to say, no, you are somebody. And we still love you, even though you don't even know how to love yourself right now. And because of that, I was able to really focus on my education. And I really started to change my perspective about who goes to prison. Because I'm like, everything in this experience was telling me I was a bad person and I was an evil individual, but I never felt that in my heart. And then as I started to get and know my brothers, and see the law library community, the people who were working really hard to change their lives around, the mentors, I'm like, we aren't bad people. We gotta change this perspective. When I turn on the TV and I hear ex-con, felon, and inmate and all this stuff, I don't think of my brothers, not the community we was creating on the inside. It was love, it was accountability, it was clean that toilet, because you got a job to do when you get on the other side. But that's not what you see on the TV screen, right? So I started writing about it. Oh, nah, we ain't here working. We're gonna go home, we're gonna make a difference. That's how this article came about. Murder, he wrote. This came out 10 years after while I was incarcerated. 10 years later. Case happened in 2004, excuse me. This was in 2014. But I didn't write murder. I wrote an apology. Started writing essays. A Daily News columnist reached out to me. She said, hey, I want to talk about your case. I want to see if I can connect you to the people who survived your crime. They weren't interested in the article. She said, well, can we move forward? I said, of course. I want to motivate and champion the community we're creating on the inside, and I want to inspire people that, hey, there are second chances. You can't, fix things after you make a wrong decision. Well, anyway, she sensationalized it, wrote Murder, he wrote. And to be honest, I think she just did the best she could to say, hey, I read a good letter, but I don't know if this guy is real or not. He may just be trying to get out early. Well, I wasn't trying to get out early. I made a vow that when I was getting out, I was going to change. I was going to help improve my culture, and I was going to represent what restorative justice is all about. I was going to represent my brothers. But I did get out 2 years later. And you could only imagine getting out. My name is Shuja. I'm a black man convicted of murder. Ever heard of disenfranchisement? Ever heard of no denials? I couldn't get a job with Uber and Lyft. Wasn't able to get a job where? Target. Even to this day, Airbnb has permanently banned me. In every facet of life in society, once you have a criminal record, once you have an arrest record, you can be legally denied from everything, from going into schools, from getting a job, from getting a loan, from every facet of society. I mean, even being on a dating app, you can be denied if you are a convicted felon. And so you only can imagine how hard it was to really get my life back on track. So after fumbling around for a few years, really trying to figure some things out, I said, I remembered that Daily News article. And I said, you know what, I gotta tell my own story. I gotta rewrite this narrative. So I found a videographer, I found a cinematographer, and we created this series called Walkies. Anybody know what a walkie is? What's a walkie?
I learned this from you, so
Oh, you cheating? No, somebody else. What's a walkie,
Somebody
bro?
you walk the track with, or somebody you go to chow with, somebody you spend your time with while you're in prison.
Exactly. We created a show called Walkies that borrowed that term. It's your best friend while you're incarcerated. This is who you confide in. And we use that term because in this show, we walk the journeys of the formerly incarcerated. We'll let them to prison, their awakening moment while on the inside, but more importantly, what happens once they return and how they help their community. And these two individuals, Sean Grass and Hunter Bartlett, they were the first individuals besides my family after I got out that invested in me, invested in my vision. And we created that show. Hopefully this plays. I'm gonna show you a quick clip, but we are gonna watch an episode. Doesn't look like this is set up to play, so no worries. But Walkies, working on that was like a resume builder. It was the first opportunity I could show somebody what I could do with just a little bit of resources. And with Walkies, I still didn't have a job. I still was trying to figure things out, but I heard of this guy, Jeff Abramowitz. Don't worry about it. We're gonna watch the episode, so it's cool.
Okay.
Jeff Abramowitz. He was a formerly incarcerated dude. He was a director at one of the biggest nonprofits in Philly. I know he's over there in the corner somewhere. And he likes to post on social media. And so he would always post where he was at and what he was doing. And I would put on a suit. It wasn't this suit, but I had one suit at that time. And I would put on my best suit and I would go there. And I would introduce myself, but I wouldn't ask him for that, just introduce myself. And I kept doing it, and I kept doing it. And I kept stalking him. And finally, the last time I met him out, he was like, who are you? What's going on? I said, hey, can I get a meeting? I would like to tell you about, what I'm working on this and the third. And finally we set up that meeting, and I begged him. I said, I just need a job, man. Look at what this little video I created, man. Please, I need some help. And because he had that life experience, he understood. He looked me in my eyes and said, you know what, I'm gonna help you out. And I was able to get a job as a workforce advisor for Jeb's Human Services. And it was funny because I remember, I have another story. I'm not trying to be too long, but I was working at a warehouse, barely could cover my bills, and a workforce advisor called me and said, hey, I got a job for you. She was so excited. I said, oh, that's great. What's up? She said, oh, it's at another warehouse for $12 an hour. And I'm like, yo, this not gonna really even cover my bills. And she said, well, I don't know why you're upset. You should really be happy. This is the best that you're gonna get. Exactly. I said, oh, wow. So when Jeff helped me out get that job, it was funny because now I was hired to become a workforce advisor. That was a moment. Thanks, Jeff. But from there, things snowballed. I got a fellowship with an organization called Philadelphia Lawyers for Social Equity, where they paid me $500 a month. So now I got Walkies, I got a job, I got a fellowship, and things started to snowball. But then the pandemic hit. But I didn't let that stop me. I continued to go, and I ended up getting a job for the Enterprise Center, one of the biggest nonprofits in my community. This is the fellowship that I got with Pulse. But at the Enterprise Center, I was able to support my community by giving over $1 million in community support and business support. Something I'm very, very proud of. This is Walnut Hill. This is our community farm. This is one of the turkey giveaways. This was the resource center I used to run. As you can see, we had the mask on during the pandemic. This is 2 check presentations for $15,000 to businesses on the corridor. But I knew to really make narrative change, I had to focus on filmmaking. And so I actually quit that job in 2022 and continued to tell stories. My latest project is called Pardon Me. It's about executive clemency. Unfortunately, I'm not able to show, again, the video's not playing, but you can go to the website and I have some links at the end of this presentation. But Pardon Me is about the need, making an economic argument for executive clemency, why we need to wipe people's criminal records away, how people struggle to really get their life back on track with this criminal record. And we have a system that actually works. The PARC system works. The recidivism rate for somebody who's even going through the process, what do you think it is? Just throw out a number. Well, it's not 0. People still messed up. What's another number? 1%. Maybe it's 2. But it ain't 3. But seriously though, there's a lot of people struggling. And I'm standing up here representing them because they don't want to be forthcoming talking about the worst mistakes they ever made in life. It's hard to stand on stage and have everybody look at you and just, hey, I committed murder. No, it's not cool. So I do it so that, because you guys are out in the field working with individuals. And when they come to you, they need that support. How my family was there, how Sweets was there, how the Horton brothers was there while I was incarcerated, how Jeff was there, how Pulse was there, how Sean and Hunter were there. Y'all are there for other individuals. And that's why I stand on stage and do this. So we launched Pardon Me about a year ago, and we had our first event in West Philly at World Cafe Live. A great event, really launched a statewide tour that I've been on, kind of in whirlwind. I even have to leave this event and go back to Philly because we're having a screening later today at Tilt Gallery. But what was interesting about this event was I was really determined to invite 2 people. One, the reporter who wrote that article, now 10 years ago, and the judge that sentenced me, that gave me 12 to 24 instead of that 20 to 40, and she showed up. And I was able to say thank you to her, and look her in the eyes and tell her that I understood what my responsibility was, and I was also able to look that reporter in the face and say, yeah. I wasn't lying about that vibe. I was dead serious. And so I want to play an episode of Walkies after this. Hopefully you enjoy it. Hopefully you get a sense of the determination, the love and support it takes to really get your career going. And hopefully you feel motivated to get out there and really help love and support the individuals that need it. Because when we talk about inmate, convict, felon, reentrant, we're really talking about our community members.
It started out as a joke, like, you won't rob no bank or no check cashing place. Who? Put a gun in my hand and watch me work. It was like a challenge at first. The adrenaline and stuff that came along with it, it gave me a different type rush than all the other stuff that I was used to. To be so young and count so much money to the point where you gotta write down which pile you was on, how much it was. To wake up and then start counting a new pile. When you're in the midst of all of that stuff, you don't really look at the trauma that you inflict upon other people. Like, that's one of the things I always battle with. Like, damn, like, I really traumatize people. In prison, I went through a program where you have to face everything that you ever been through in life. They asked me the question and nobody ever asked me before. And it was crazy for me to ever say it after all them years. The reality is nobody ever asked me.
My name is Shuja Moore. At 22 years old, I was arrested for an accidental murder and went on to serve 12 years in prison. While incarcerated, I went on a journey of self-discovery, and by the end, I knew that justice would truly be served by improving my culture and community. My first endeavor into doing that is the docuseries Walkies. A walkie is a Pennsylvania prison term for a close friend. The show Walkies plays on that term and represents the journeys of the formerly incarcerated, what led them to crime, through their awakening in prison, and their commitment to helping their community after their release. Welcome to another episode of Walkies. I'm excited about today's episode because we finally get to tell the story of a formerly incarcerated woman. Her name's Sadia Bagley, and she's the hardest working person that I know. She's running multiple businesses, taking care of 2 beautiful daughters, all while being a backbone to her family. But if you pour the file, that's not what you see. You'll see the story of a woman who spent nearly 10 years of her life in a federal penitentiary behind robbing banks and check cashing stores. There's a saying that goes, hurt people, and I believe that's why a lot of people find themselves behind bars. The question for today is, what happens to those individuals once they become healed?
I originally came from 4th and Hunterdon. As a kid, I always wanted to shelter people and always take into consideration what seems painful to them. And I've always been an affectionate kid, and I think that's why I'm so affectionate now. I just wanted it reciprocated, so I more often than not was drawn to where that was. My mom is not an affectionate person. She did a great job making sure we were well clothed, well fed. It's like things I would never tell her, like, I don't feel like you was there enough, or I just wanted you to hold me, I just wanted you to hug me, and things of that nature. That's not who she is. The older I got, the more I realized, like, she was fighting, she had battles, like, she went through her own traumas. So it makes me forgive a lot, but when I think back, it's like, she just wasn't the affectionate person that, kids need. We moved to 19th and Jefferson when I was like 9.
J Street is a notorious block. What was it known for?
Drugs, violence.
How did this block influence you?
The hustler mentality that was embedded in me. You gotta fight, or whatever comes with that. You gotta protect yourself. I remember I had to be like 11. We had been around here for like 2 years. There was this guy, a big guy on the block, and it was a girl older than me, like 17. She was at the corner store and he was trying to talk to her, but she wasn't from 19th Street, she's from 18th Street, only 1 block over. And she's like, boy, get out of here. And he like, you come back out, I'm gonna get you beat up. And I was on my way out the store with my mom, eggs and bread. And he like, listen, come here. He took the eggs and bread out of my hand and he like, when this girl come out the store, I want you to punch her in her face. You either gonna punch her or I'm gonna hit you. When she came out the store, I just started hitting her. And I did it so quick and so fast, she fell. She probably didn't even know what was happening. But it was like something that was, encouraged. Like, I didn't look for that. I was made to really be a part of something that had nothing to do with me. Right. And then for years to follow, that's what it was. You ain't from 19th and Jefferson, it's on, like, right. Let's get it.
Sadia grew up in 2 of the roughest sections of Philly, the Badlands and J Street. Her environment mandated that she be tough, and taking care of herself without regard to others became a way of life. As a young teen, she would see her sister return home with stolen clothes and money from shoplifting, and that influenced Sadia to begin stealing herself. The thing about crime, however, is that once it starts, it tends to only escalate from there. So you started stealing clothes for yourself, and then what happened next?
Somebody asked me how much would I charge them to get it. Hold on, wait, I could charge? I got excited. Now I'm taking these orders and I'm getting this stuff. You meet different people. I'm interacting with this person, interacting with that person. Oh, that's the girl to get the, what's it called? Oh, you the girl? Oh my God, I need X, Y, Z. And then it's like, the guy's like, well, who the hell is that? Everybody keep going over there and talking to her, like, who that? So, that's actually how I met my ex. One day we was talking and he like, you gonna commit crime, I can show you X, Y, Z. The game to these robberies. We always cased it, so of course we knew all of the details, what day the armored truck comes. We knew if they were going in from the side, we knew if they were going in from the front, we knew if the door buzzed, if it had a locked storm door. The person who opened the check cashing police, when they walked in, we walked in with them. Always no customers. The splits was always like 50,000 and things of that nature, so it gives you a rush. Like, that's the thing. You get the rush the first time, it's like butterflies, like sheesh, because you don't really know if you could pull it off, and then it's like once it's over, you're like, wait, it's over? I remember I was 20 and I got a phone call and it was like, where you at? Side, the cops just kicked in your mom's door. And I'm like, what? And she's like, they say ATF. I said, ATF? She said, yeah, FBI, yeah, FBI. I was like, oh man, like what? I was losing my mind.
everywhere I was going, they just left or they was coming. When I found out that they had my co-defendant, I wanted him released. So I thought, I would come in, take the case because I had no priors. So I called my daughter's father and told him what was going on and that I was ready to go turn myself in.
Saidiya served 8 years and 9 months in a federal penitentiary. She did another year in a halfway house. We picked back up on the story at a major turning point of self-discovery.
In prison, I went through a program where if you had a drug case or if you ever had drugs in your past, then they gave you the opportunity to get 18 months off of your sentence, unless you have a 924C, which I have. It's a gun charge. So I wasn't able to actually get the time off, but they gave me earlier halfway house. The program is so intense that I really feel like it really shouldn't be called the drug program. I feel like it should be something else, because I feel like if more people went through that, the recidivism rate wouldn't be this high. They really make you look at yourself, a reflection of who you are, everything, anything. They make you dig so deep that you have no choice but to really reflect on who you are. I remember sitting down, that was one of the intense things we had to do in the drug program. I had to write my offender a letter. Them knowing my trauma and then my situation and them paralleling that and make me face the reality that I victimized somebody else the same way I was victimized.
What did you say in that letter?
The day I decided to raise that gun and walk you into that check cashing place, I created a trauma in you that I can't take back. And for that, I'll forever be sorry. I was a broken child, and I didn't know the extent or the power behind the pain I was creating. I have a child of my own, and one of the things I recalled was you begging me not to kill you because of your son. I used to hear your screams as I laid in the bed at night. I can only come to you full of humility and sorrow, asking and seeking your forgiveness. I know what it's like to be taken from the bed, just in a different aspect, but it's still a robbery. I remember just laying there thinking like it was my fault. I was going around Nelson's to go play basketball because that was my thing. I loved basketball. There was like this alleyway that led to the back block, practically in front of the playground. And I remember walking through there just like I normally do. And it was just so different. I got different quick. I was just in the middle when he grabbed me. And he like covered my mouth and stuff. And assaulted me. I was 9 years old. So I just was crying. It's like I didn't even know what to do. I was just so confused. In prison, they make you dig so deep. You have to face everything that you've ever been through in life. I released a lot doing therapy in prison, but it's still that one part that's withholding me. I haven't told any of my family. It's been a bunch of strain and stress, withholding it, and now I just feel like I gotta get it off of me because still to this point I'm holding on. I don't really know how I want to say it to my mom, but it has to be said. You know, I gotta tell her.
My name is Farida Boyer. I'm a licensed marriage and family therapist. She is going to explain to you why you were invited to the meeting.
All right, so you remember when I got locked up and I said, when they started asking you about the rape, and I told you that it's something I said so I can get time off?
Yeah.
So it did really happen?
Why you didn't never tell me?
I always felt like I couldn't. I felt like it would break your spirit. Like, I watched you go through so much, and I just felt like I would add to your hurt.
Knowing this now, how does it feel for you?
It's crazy. I think I would have probably went to jail. Because what would make somebody that's a grown man rape a baby? A baby. Like, that's sick.
It is. And it's okay to cry. It's okay to cry and let it out.
We got it. We get through everything. It's gonna be okay. It was such a great release. You know, when you want to be clear and free and move on from it, you have to address your trauma. Whatever you're going through, it's okay to talk about it so it won't keep you sick, keep you bitter, keep you angry. And it's just like, how can you be different? What can you do to help change the person next to you, your family, your friends? What can you do different? Ultimately, I developed this from being in prison and just learning that I hurt others. Now, how do you fix them?
Thankfully, Sai has healed from the traumas of her past. She hopes now to inspire her family to do the same. She also works to heal her community in the form of an annual awards ceremony named Lockdown Love, which recognizes the accomplishments of the formerly incarcerated. And her catering business, Sai's Palace, continues to grow year after year.
A year and a half after being released from prison, I started Sai's Palace, which is my catering company, specializing in soul food. I was cooking out of the house and renting kitchens for bigger events. And now, finally, I have my own space, which will be opening the 19th of February. My vision is that I get to employ people in the community. My vision is that it becomes a franchise. My vision is that it becomes a household name. I'm like so goal-oriented now and so focused on my future and leaving something behind for my kids that they can fall on. Because when I fell the first time, I just felt like, if that was the end for me, what did I leave for Jakaya? It was really nothing. And I refused to leave either one of them in a world where I left them nothing. You know, it's all about my kids, and then do my friends need me? Where can I be of assistance? The more I aid other people, it fulfills me. It gives me a sense of purpose. You never know who has issues, who has traumas, but it has to be addressed because it'll make you a better person. I refuse to be imprisoned by that night.
So before we leave, and I see you clapping, I like that.
Because we live in the social media area, this social media era,
Let's get a chin. Let's get it on video. Y'all down for second chances? Do y'all believe in second chances? Come on now. Y'all believe in second chances? So when I say second, I like this. Y'all ready? When I say second, y'all say chances. Second. Chances. Second. Chances. My brothers, we did it, man. We doing the work, y'all. We did it. Thank you. You got a cool video, man. Where's Rob? I think we have a few minutes for some questions if people have any. I would like to say that
Sadia is her company is doing really, really well. Sai's Palace. She has her brick and mortar is fixed up. It's in North Philly.
And even BET picked up her story, and she was featured in, I think, a 2021 episode of Trap Queens. So she's doing really, really well right now. But yeah, I see someone in the back right there. I only have 3. That was the 3rd one. I filmed most of them pre-pandemic. And we wasn't really making any money. Like, we just did that really, a lot of bootstrapping and sweat equity. And so I really look forward to getting back to telling those stories. But right now, yeah, the last one we did in 2021, I believe, or 2020. And you can go to walkiesfilms.com if you're interested in checking out the older episodes.
Do I have to ask a question?
Do you have to ask a question? She don't need no mic.
Got one. Thank you, Ron. I just want to celebrate you for a minute. See, that's why I don't do microphones.
I just want to celebrate you for a minute. I just did a panel discussion after showing your whole pardon.
Pardon me?
Pardon me series, and I just got my pardon.
Wow, congratulations.
I just don't think that people understand how important it is for us to show up and share the stories about the people that look like you and me that came through those streets in North Philadelphia, West Philadelphia. And watching the video, it just changed me and took me back to where it all began. But I don't know that people understand the impact that you have on spreading your love for the communities that you serve. And I just really simply want to say, for my 5 sons that I got to raise after I got out of prison, you encourage me and give me hope for what they are going to be able to do in this community in which we live currently. So I just wanted to take a minute to pause. We talk about self-care, to breathe into you what you are doing.
Thank you for that. You say keep going? So who got the money in the room? Point them out. No, thank you for that. I really appreciate that. I'm crying on the inside. I'm too tough to cry on the outside right now. But trust me, that means a lot. It's hard to talk about the day in and day out mental and physical struggle it is to have a criminal record. And you say, oh, I did 31 years and 12 years and 10 years, like it's nothing. But no, that's a day in, day out conscious choice to keep your sanity, to keep your grace, your mental intact. And thank you for that, because everyone doesn't make it, doesn't make it back. Thank you.
Can we have one more question and then we have lunch? And I know no one's hungry, so anybody, I know there were people around here. Okay.
Thanks for your time. We're all very much involved in this world, and to me it's kind of like second nature, these stories, but I realize that it's not for a lot of people. But would you say the last 10 years, more people are aware of the kind of struggles that reentrants have, and how many people get swept up in the system? Would you say we've made progress in that awareness of general public?
Absolutely, we've made progress, and I don't want to sugarcoat that, and I do want to salute everyone that has helped push things forward. I mean, 10 years ago, we were not talking like this,
Right.
And even when you looked at this last presidential campaign, those attack ads came back about being soft on crime. We need to punish the criminals. But also, I have to say, when you look at the era of mass incarceration, we have not nowhere near made enough progress that we need to make in terms of really righting the wrongs and rebuilding some of the communities that have been devastated by the system. We have made progress, and it's great, but we got a lot more work to do, because a lot more people are coming in than are going out. So thank you all for that, and the work continues. We celebrate for a moment, and then we get back out on the streets. Thank you all.